Hello there, this is Miriam, holistic life coach and mind-body practitioner at Pain Outside the Box. And today I'm going to be talking about a very hot topic in the world of mind-body syndrome and TMS, and that's secondary gains. So I was surprised a couple of weeks ago when I had a conversation with a chronic pain specialist, a medical specialist who has been working in the field of chronic pain for over 30 years. And I was surprised when she mentioned secondary gains herself. And in a way, I didn't expect her to mention secondary gains because so few people and doctors are aware of them. So basically, what are secondary gains? Secondary gains are any kind of advantage that we may derive from having symptoms. And I know that most of you will tell me, but there's absolutely no benefit that I get from symptoms. And I know that most people in chronic pain will resist this concept with all their might. It's something that we resist when we first hear about it. So I've decided to explain this better because secondary gains do exist in some cases, and the more aware we are of them, the more likely we are to get out of the chronic pain cycle or out of chronic symptoms. So I'm going to provide some common examples of secondary gains. Someone who has relationship problems in her marriage develops chronic pain for various emotional and personal reasons. Because she is no longer able to do certain chores around the house, her husband starts helping her with these chores. Her husband or her kids start helping her out because she can no longer do these chores because of the symptoms. That is a secondary gain, which this person didn't consciously think about or aim for, but it is a gain nevertheless, okay? So with secondary gains, we have to remember that the unconscious works in very devious ways, okay? So what the unconscious thinks is dangerous might be different to what you logically think is dangerous, okay? So a part of you is trying to protect you from some kind of danger happening, especially when you have chronic symptoms. So chronic symptoms are a form of protective mechanism, okay, or a mechanism by which you might get something that otherwise you would not have gotten, okay? So in the case of the married person whose husband never helps her out, part of the reason why she might have developed chronic pain might be so that she would get more help and support from her husband. I know it sounds icky, but I can tell you this is one of the most common secondary gains that I come across. And the faster that people have recognized it, the faster they have come out of chronic pain. A secondary gain can obviously be anything that the pain gets you out of, okay? So let's say that you dread going to an event. It's not your thing. It triggers you. You don't want to be around people or whatever. And then you get the pain just before the event, or you get sick just before the event. You don't want to get a flare-up. Logically, you don't go about thinking, oh, I want to get a flare-up, so I don't go to that event. But actually you do, and because your unconscious thinks that it's safer for you to be at home in pain than to attend that event. So this is how secondary gains work, really. We have to look at the basic human needs to really understand them. So the basic human needs are the need for connection, the need for support, the need for attention, the need to feel safe with the people around us and safe in our environment, whether it's our work environment or our family environment. Okay, so those are the basic human needs, and this is what the unconscious tries to work for. Okay, so it tries to protect you from any kind of threat that might sabotage those human needs. So if you're at a workplace where you're getting constantly criticized, okay, you're not getting recognized and you're living with this fear of criticism all the time, then the brain might find a way to get you out of the situation if you personally don't do something about it, okay? So if you don't do something about it, it is more likely for you to develop mind-body syndrome in the form of chronic pain or symptoms. And there you have your gain. The symptoms might escalate, they might get you out of the job, and that's it, okay? So the unconscious has reached its goal, okay? The problem is that by that time, you are still left with pain. By that time, you have developed a fear of your body and a fear of your symptoms recurring, and that actually leads to more and more problems and perpetuates the pain cycle. So how do you look for secondary gains and how do you explore them? So I always personally like to ask myself, if I have a symptom, what is the symptom trying to tell me? Because sometimes if we find a quiet moment and we ask our symptom, what is it about? You might get an answer. We might get an answer. Something like, oh, it's because I can't take this anymore, or I can't handle this. Anything that comes up, you don't have to go about brainstorming this. It's more about listening to the first thing that comes up, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask your symptom what it's about, okay? There are also other questions that you can journal about and explore, such as what kind of mini benefits did the pain get you? Did it get you more help and support from your family? Did it lead to any other benefit that is actually a good thing to have? What might you have derived from being in chronic pain or from suffering with chronic symptoms? You might have got out of a huge responsibility. That's also a big one, okay? So when we have huge responsibilities to face, such as taking care of a sick relative, or, you know, a job which involves a lot of responsibility, sometimes chronic pain might come up to get us out of that unbearable situation, because that kind of situation is threatening, actually, to the unconscious. No matter how much you try to tell yourself that you have to put up with it, okay? And once you identify your secondary gains, if you do, you can then ask yourself, oh, okay, so what can I do to actually meet that need? Let's say the need for support, the need to have less responsibility, without actually needing the pain or the symptoms to intervene, okay? So this is the difference now. Once you are aware of the secondary gains, you can actually let go of the pain. You actually realize that maybe you don't need the pain to give you these gains, okay? You can actually ask for help even though you are not in pain. You can ask for less responsibility even though you are not in pain, okay? So this is why it's so empowering to be really, really honest with ourselves. And this is why secondary gains are so important to understand. We know they're a thing, and we also know that initially the sufferer will resist the idea. Of course, I resisted the idea as well. However, it takes a lot of vulnerability and honesty and self-awareness to really get clear on any secondary gains that might be at play behind your symptoms. So I congratulate you for embarking on this journey of self-awareness and responsibility. It is a journey of personal responsibility. So not everyone is ready for it, I understand. And I'm sorry if I might have offended anyone in this video. It's definitely not my intention. My intention is that those who resonate, those who are ready for this message, will benefit, will gain more awareness that will help them out of their journey. To learn more about TMS and mind-body syndrome, I encourage you to check out my website, www.painoutsidethebox.com, where I also offer personal one-on-one coaching and online recovery programs that will guide you every step of the way on your chronic pain journey. Okay, that's all for me for today. I'm sure I've given you a lot to think about, so take care and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.